being here. And, thank you for on your Labor Day being here. But, thanks for everything that you guys do. This job is not easy, right? Choosing a career in real estate, it's a very tough decision, right? To know that you're not going to have at first that like constant paycheck and knowing that it's going to be there on the certain day every single, week or every other week or whatever the case is. It's really you take a chance, and we get it. And there's a lot of people that don't make it in this business. And so the effort that you guys put into it are going to be a direct result in how much you guys are going to get paid. So I appreciate the amount of time, the energy, the training, the coaching, the dealing with tough clients, the learning how to build your business. So on behalf of the company, we appreciate all the labor that goes into this. So we're going to talk about something today. It's going to be special. We're going to talk about the Dawn Wall. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the movie. If you did have a chance to watch the movie, please raise your hand, give me a raise of hand, or give me a reaction down below. All right, cool, Austin, I love it, love it. Couple people did. Zyra, you watched it? Okay, cool. Linnell, awesome. So we're gonna have a roundtable conversation about it. Glad you guys watched it. If you hadn't had the chance to, pop it in one night when you don't have anything else to watch, because the next one I'm gonna want you guys to check out is called Free Solo, which will absolutely blow your mind. You're gonna have the worst anxiety watching it. However, it's a really, really good movie. So let's do this. Let's have somebody bring us out on the field today, bring us out of the tunnel. Let's go to Zyra. Zyra, I'm gonna have you bring us out of the tunnel, bring us out on the field today. So let's rock and roll. Let's get it.
So is bringing out of the field just like a welcome?
It's whatever you want. It's like you're a sports team coming out into the tunnel, out of the tunnel, onto the field for game day. Hype us up.
Okay, it's Labor Day, you guys. Let's have an amazing meeting like we always do. Woo!
Woo! All right, cool. So Austin, Zyra, a couple people watched it. Linnell watched it. I know Storai texted me last night. She's like, what was the name of that movie? So the Dawn Wall. There's all kinds of direct correlations with this movie, but let's just do a little bit of a backstory. I actually created a slide deck because that's how much of a nerd I am. I wanted to create a slide deck. So I put this all together. Zyra, did you have a question, or was that the hand up from before?
That was the hand up. Let me bring it down.
All right, cool. All right, guys. So resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. This movie is going to talk heavily about resilience. It's going to show you what is possible, and it's really, really going to make you think about what we do and make direct correlations. I thought the movie was profound. It's had a lasting effect on me. I watched it years ago. I watched it again. I actually had an old training program that I named after it. It was called Base Camp. And I've thought about that the other day. I'm like, shit, that movie meant a lot to me. Let's talk about it again. So the Dawn Wall. So this is the Dawn Wall. And what you see right here in the center, the largest piece of this rock, this monolith, is called the Dawn Wall because when the sun starts to peak in the morning time, that side of the rock starts to illuminate first. And so it was coined the Dawn Wall. Well, this mountain had been climbed many times. If you look to the far right, all the way over to the far left, a lot of these pitches and a lot of these these lines have been climbed by other climbers, right? This one line right here, the Dawn Wall, had never been attempted. It was at the time, and soon it still is, the hardest climb in the world, and had never been attempted. Even the most savvy of climbers in the entire world said, no way, no how. We'll do the other ones, but we're not going to do that one. It's just not possible, right? Because what you're going up against is you're going up and trying to have these holds that are literally razor sharp holds that you're trying to hold on to with just your fingers, just the tips of your toes. And so it was really, really crazy. So we'll talk about some of the history of this before, but this is the Dawn Wall. You guys, when we think about the Dawn Wall, it is 3,000 feet straight up, right? I've never been to El Capitan in Yosemite, so I'm excited to go and see it. I'm actually going to climb it before the winter time comes, but I'm not going to climb the front of it. I'm actually going to hike around the back. But let's talk a little bit about Tommy Caldwell before we go into this. Let me stop my share really quick. So Tommy Caldwell was a kid who grew up, he was smaller than everyone. His dad wanted to toughen him up. His dad was a bodybuilder, like super, super extremist, loved the adrenaline. And he's like, I'm going to toughen this kid up. And so he took him on every single climbing adventure that he could possibly imagine. The things that this kid was climbing at 6 years old, 10 years old, were what grown men had been trying to achieve for years and years and years. Well, at 16 years old, his dad took him to the snowboard competition, and he was up against all these adults. Here's the 16-year-old kid. He's like, I'm going to enter into this competition. He actually won the snowboard competition at 16 years old and put him on the map as a world-renowned climber at 16 years old. Well, over the years, he started climbing at a really, really young age. I think it was like 17, 18. He had a chance to go out to a place that's called, and I think I'm saying it right, Carrickstown. And Carrickstown is this beautiful place. And they went out there to climb these mountains, which were absolutely incredible, absolutely amazing. Well, during their time there, him and his friends, mind you, these kids are teenagers, they get held hostage. They get held hostage by an Islamic group that was militants and a part of a rebel group, and they were there holding them hostage, going through the mountains, holding them hostage, and they didn't know if they were going to die. What it was 6 days in the mountains, hiking, and one day they band together and said, we need to push them off the side of the cliff. One of the captors had gone to find food, and they were left with one captor. So climbing up the side of the mountain at 16 years old, they devised a plan to push this guy off of the side of the mountain and actually get himself to freedom. So they pushed this guy off of the side of the mountain, and obviously the guy died, and they were able to get out there and find the US Embassy. So here you are, a kid going through all these things. I thought it was like profound. He's like, that right there gave me more fuel than I ever needed in life to like do something with my life. From there on, he just became this crazy climber until he came to the Dawn Wall. So back to the Dawn Wall. So this Dawn Wall, hardest climb in the world. This route had never been attempted, 3,000 feet straight up. And if you take a look at the picture here, and we're going to talk about this, there's 32 individual pitches. So a pitch is about a rope length long. It was 150 feet approximately. And as you go up, you connect, you anchor in, and then you climb to the next pitch. Well, some of these pitches were taking days and days and days and days, but you cannot get to the next one unless you accomplish that. As you get higher and higher, each pitch gets a little bit harder. So this took years and years and years of preparation. So what they did is they hiked up, they would rappel down, and they would search and scan the whole entire mountain to see where are the footholds, where could I possibly put my hand, what can we possibly do to climb this mountain, because we're going to do it in one shot. And they were told no and no and no, they can't do it, they can't do it, they can't do it. But he was determined and destined to do it no matter what. So this is some of the conditions. So imagine this, you're hiking up a mountain, or excuse me, you're climbing up the mountain, 3,000 feet up, straight up, and you're having to put a camp on the side of a mountain. Think about that, sleeping on the side of the mountain, these crazy winds are coming up. They're doing it in the winter time, because in the winter time, it's easier to grip onto the mountain, which I thought that was crazy. When you watch the movie, you're going to see what they have to do and how they set up their camp and how they're living on the side of the mountain. It was absolutely crazy. Well, let's take a look at this from no excuses standpoint. So the picture on the left is Tommy Caldwell's hand. He's the one that is the mastermind behind the Dawn Wall. After climbing for years, he had an accident with a skill saw and cut off his pointer finger, or whatever this finger is called. Cut off his finger. They found the finger, tried to have multiple doctors sew it back on, didn't take. Well, they ended up saying that you're probably gonna have to get a different career. This is your life and you're gonna have to get a different career. Well, he said, fuck this. He's like, no matter what, I'm gonna still be a climber. So he trained his finger, and everyone said there's no possible way that this dude is going to be a climber, because the grip is literally like this. This part of your grip when you're climbing is probably the most crucial. And now he's trying to do it like this. Every single person said, no way, there's no way that you are going to be able to do this. And obviously he was able to, and he was able to accomplish the Dawn Wall, and he was able to scale this wall. And looking back at this, and this is what I want to go to, on this pitch breakdown here, 32 different pitches. So you have to go step by step by step by step in order to get to the summit. So when I was thinking about this, when I was preparing this, when I was reading, when I was watching the movie again, I wanted to make some direct correlations to what we do in order to reach that summit. Because obviously he had the willpower. He fought through all of his excuses, no matter what, even not having a finger, he was able to do it. So in real estate, I wanted to ask you guys, what are some of your individual pitches? I want to have a discussion around this. I want to have some conversation about this, but let's do this. I want to go to some people that watched the movie over the weekend, and I want to go over to you, Zyra. Zyra, you watched the movie. I'm sure you have some great takeaways from it. So what were some things that you realized about yourself or from watching the movie, or some takeaways? Let's just have a roundtable discussion about this really quick.
Okay, so let me just start off by saying that my hands were sweating the whole entire time. I was like, oh my goodness. I really love the movie, but the way I put it into my life, and although I'm not licensed yet, I was having, like back on Friday, I was having so much anxiety because I'm just studying for my test. And the way I broke it down was with my real estate exam practice test. I was stressing out because I was like, oh my God, it's going to be 150 questions. It's going to be, right now I'm studying and it's 100 questions and I can only miss 20 questions. So I actually took this into consideration, the movie, and I was like, I'm looking at it 10 by 10, like stop stressing out. 10 questions, get 100% or only miss one. Look at the next 10 questions, only miss one or two. So that was the way that I actually used. It was almost like motivation from the movie. And as well as during the movie, and I really do encourage everyone to watch it, there was a point where the news reporters were like laughing and chuckling, like, oh, why is he doing it? Like, I understand, but why? And they were laughing. And I think I took that into my life, and nobody needs to understand why you're doing something. I've actually been told, just get a 9 to 5. And in the most humblest way, my dreams are not one of a normal person. So I'm not going to get a normal job. And so I really took that and like the movie into my life. And I was taking notes too. Oops, I was taking notes too. And it was just, it was amazing. It was like, honestly, thank you for even recommending that movie, because I usually fall asleep. I'm one of those people that fall asleep 20-30 minutes into a movie, and I watched the whole thing. And I was so scared because Friday, it said that on Netflix, I think Friday was the last day to watch it. It actually expired at September 3rd. So I was able to watch it. I don't know if it's still on, but it did say September 3rd, last day to watch. So
yeah, I had to buy it again last night. Well, I had to buy it on Amazon Prime for like $9.99.
Yeah.
I think you said a couple things here. Like, everyone said they were crazy. It's no way. Why would you do that? Like, why would you put yourself through that? But when something is inside of you that is burning so fiercely that you say, you know what? It's just compelling me. Like, I wrote this down in my notes here. It's like, it was all consuming, right? No matter what was happening in his life, that was his opportunity to escape and say, you know what? I'm going to do this. His wife left him. He felt like he was at his loneliest point in his life. He said, all I have is this wall, and I'm going to prove to myself that I can do it. And he's like, no matter what, I was obsessed about this wall. I'm obsessed about it.
And it wasn't about proving it to anybody else. His intention was not to be on the news. His intention was not to be like the one known to climb the Dawn Wall. His intention was, it was something that he wanted. And yeah.
Good stuff. Good takeaways. I love it. Austin, let's hear from you, brother.
I mean, honestly, I think my biggest takeaway was just the inspirational part of it. The fact that, I mean, after he got his finger taken off, he was sitting there rubbing it into dirt and different leaves and stuff, just trying to toughen himself up so that he could go out and attempt it again. And I think it was the part whenever Kevin kept missing, I believe that was his name, kept missing that one part.
Yeah.
And he got like 3 or 4 different places higher than him. And he was like, well, I can't just leave you here. It's not fun and just achieving this alone. I want to have my partner, my brother with me the whole time to make sure that when I get this, we can kind of achieve it together. And it brought me back to whenever I thought about first kind of getting into real estate. And I'm like, do I want to try to do this alone, or do I want to get a team going there? Like, I get onto a team. That way I have the support to try to help me get to that next part. And I think they kind of just showed that I made the right decision getting on a team, because you're even stronger when you have more people together and it's not just you against the world.
Man, I love it. And look at like 2 people, like I literally have chills from you guys. 2 people with totally different vantage points of what they took from the movie. So let's talk about pitch 15. So pitch 15 was midway up, obviously. Pitch 15 was literally a traverse over, right? And they did all their training and all the practicing over all the years. They were never able to get over that. But they're like, all right, here we are. We're going to do it. We're going to do it, right? Well, Tommy Caldwell did it after quite a few attempts, but then his partner, he got stuck. And I don't know, Austin, if you remember how many days it was. It was days. He would attempt to go over. Once he'd fall, and obviously you're anchored in. Once he'd fall, he'd have to rest for about an hour and then go back in. You guys, when you watch the movie, it is attempt after attempt after attempt. Like literally his fingers are down to the, like, you know, they're bloody. He's just so frustrated with himself. And Tommy's like, well, I'm going to go ahead. He goes ahead, and like Austin was saying, he's like, man, I don't want to do this alone. I came all this way with him. I'm going to go back and I'm going to support him, and I'm going to be by his corner, by his side and in his corner. And he ended up doing it after days and days and days. Like, to see him do it, and his mom was there, it was like so uplifting. And then they were able to cruise and do the rest of the mountain together. So that was powerful, man. Pitch 15 was really powerful. Who else watched it that wants to chime in on their takeaways? I think Linnell, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, did you say you watched it? Sorry.
Yeah, I did. I watched it. I'm a big nature freak, so I enjoyed it. It was crazy because like my thing was can't stop, won't stop. It was like they're not gonna stop no matter what. And I had to like close my eyes during Kevin time. It was so hard to watch Kevin because I was just like, oh my God, like he's gonna fall. And I was like, please don't fall. And when it got to the point where he made it, I just was like, okay, his fingers are messed up.
Ow, 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 ow.
Yeah, it was ouch. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
somebody got hurt.
no, but I have these days, and I haven't been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it. I think I had my license, and I think about June I got my license. And so I have these days of doubt where I'm just like, damn, this is hard. And so just watching that, it's like, man, I could do this, you know, like I have to do this. So that was what I got from it. It was really motivational and inspirational, and I really enjoyed the movie.
Love it, love it. You guys, let's talk a lot about that preparation. So for years, he studied the wall, like looking for the smallest of handholds, the smallest of footholds, literally wrote it out, mapped it out. When you think about the degree of difficulty, this was the most difficult mountain that anybody had ever climbed, you know, in Yosemite and in parts of the world. So the preparation, the studying, the making sure that everything had to be in alignment in order for him to go and take this. And I'll give you guys a quick example of what the difficulty looks like in regards to this mountain. Let me see here. I think I pulled it up. Shucks, I don't have it anymore. But anyways, this level of difficulty was like the highest level that you could possibly in regards to difficulty. And so the preparation and everything that goes into it. So let's talk about that. When you're thinking about the summit and what they have eventually accomplished, every single pitch, 32 pitches, was, you know, a certain milestone, a certain milestone, a certain milestone. I think a lot of agents, sometimes they want to get straight to the summit, but what happens is that they don't do all of the pitches that they need to do along the way. They're not taking the time to study their buyer's presentation. They're not going over every single document that they have. They're not reviewing the RPA. They're not learning how to do disclosures. And so I want to have that conversation with you guys. In order to reach your summit, what do you think some of the most important pitches, and I'm not saying pitch, how you say something, I'm talking pitch in correlation to the mountain, but what are some things that you guys feel that you need to have in place in order for you to go to the next and eventually get to your summit? So I want to open this conversation up because I feel it's an important conversation to have. So let's talk about some important pitches, things that you guys feel that you need to have in place in order to be able to reach your summit. So let's go over to you, Damian. Let's have this conversation, brother.
Hey, surprise, surprise. I think I realize that the more busy I get, the busier I get, I think I realize how important, each pitch is, because you're always reminded that there's steps. Like yesterday, I had like 3 or 4 different showings with different clients, and I came across 2 that were new to the process, so it immediately took me back to
One.
pitch. Yeah. And buyer's presentation and all of that. Like, you can get in a groove to where you come across people that know the process and they've been through this before, so it's a little bit easier, so you might get a little spoiled. But again, there's always a circumstance of where you're reminded of those different pitches, and you just can't lose sight of that, or else you'll lose business. Like, you can't get so high and mighty and so spoiled in this business that you just think everything is going to go one way, and because you'll be unpleasantly surprised. So yeah, you just gotta pay attention to the details and remember what got you there. And that's what I try to keep in mind as my business is picking up, is just to stay on the details. And I was even talking to my wife about that last night. I'm like, man, I just don't want to miss a step. I don't want to mess this up because it's going so well. So like, yeah, I'm getting in a groove, but I still want to remain cognizant that there are steps to take.
Totally. And like, let's look at this and really good insight. And I love when you speak. So if you're thinking about the pitches on the far left here, Summit's obviously at the top. Like, what are all of those? That's why I want to have this conversation, because every single, like it said, at the beginning, the first 5 pitches, they're relatively easy. What are the first 5 pitches for us? It's like that onboarding stuff. It's getting to my MLS setup. It's some of the onboarding, the paperwork and minutia. That stuff's pretty much, it's easy. That's tedious, but it's easier. Then what starts to get harder? Oh man, I got to do this buyer presentation with Elias. It's going to be a little bit hard. Well, now what gets a little bit harder? Well, now I actually have to do that, the buyer's presentation with the client. Now what do I have to do? Well, shit, I have to pull some comps. And I don't really know how to pull comps and understand the data. Now I got to build that RPA. Well, now I have to explain that RPA and help a client know. So it's like step by step by step. So let's continue this conversation. What do you feel are some important pitches that you guys need to have in order for you to reach that summit? And we'll talk about the summit once we wrap all this up. Go ahead, Cyrus. Were you going to chime in? Sorry, I saw you took yourself off of mute. You just put yourself back on the mute.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear,
I'm
brother.
sorry. I'm still getting used to this Zoom world,
It's okay, man. It takes a little while.
Sorry, what was your question about this? The summits, the steps?
Well, yeah. So the steps, are called the pitches. What are some important pitches for you that you have to get to and get past in order for you to eventually reach the summit? We won't talk about the summit yet because we're going to wrap up with that, but those important pitches.
Well, I think like a lot of other people have said before, is really educating yourself, knowing material, practicing, just going in so you sound like you know what you're talking about, and you know what you're talking about, because you can't really bullshit your way through this. It's an important decision, a huge decision in people's lives, and obviously they want someone that knows what they're doing, is confident, and knows what they're doing.
Totally. And let's talk about that. In order for you to be out there climbing that type of rock, 3,000 feet, out there sleeping on a mountainside freaking tent that's hanging off the cliff, and you're sleeping on it, the level of confidence that you need to have is pretty damn high. But the only way that you're going to get that confidence is by hours and hours, and for their case, years and years of practice and practice and practice. So man, that confidence word, huge. Cyrus, I'm glad that you said that. Kathy, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you. So for me, I wasn't understanding the use of the word pitches. For me,
Yeah,
I
and
thought
so
it was,
yeah, so the pitch is, like I said, just for the people that are coming back on, a pitch is so there's 32 pitches in this route for them to take. It's 3,000 feet. So a pitch is a rope length long. It's approximately 100 feet. When you end one pitch, you anchor and you go to the next pitch. You anchor, you go to the next pitch. Some pitches are a little bit easier. As you get higher and higher up the mountain, they're a little bit more difficult. So think about this as stages of your climb. That's what a pitch is.
so I was confusing that with like sales pitch, like what's my elevator pitch?
Totally, totally.
So now listening to you all, my pitch that I've been trying to work on, and I just have to sit down and do it, whether that means I get in a hotel room for 2 days and do it. I need to reconnect with, so my biggest step, my biggest hurdle right now is reconnecting. I have to not upgrade, I have to update my CRM. I just have to let people know, remind people that I'm really in this business and this is how I feed my family. And so that's my biggest length of rope I have to climb right now, is get all of that in order. And I think that's going to make a huge, big difference, because for the last 3 years, I've really slacked on that. And it's killed me.
Well, we appreciate the transparency. What I would do is forget about having your CRM in place, forget about all that. Just give yourself a few days and say, you know what, I'm just going to call and connect with people and just say hello, right? Like, don't rely on yourself to get the perfect system, to get the CRM set. Like, do that eventually, but they need to just hear your voice. They just need to hear your voice. Hi, you guys, how are you? Holiday season, Christmas season, whatever's going on, it's time for them to hear your voice and say, hello, just wanted to touch base.
But even just mailing labels, like getting that ready so that I can send out all of the cards and invites and all of that stuff. I mean, I've totally slacked on that for 3 years.
Deadlines. You got to put yourself,
Yep.
We talked about this the other day.
Yep.
Give yourself
Yep.
a deadline and give yourself some pressure. Like, by this date, this is what I'm going to accomplish. These are the human resources I need, and these are the resources I need, and give yourself some pressure. Pressure, right? It's just like before you go on vacation. What happens the night before? You're doing your clothes, everything's folded, cool, I'm ready to go, right? I'll tell you what, most of the times the day before we go on vacation is one of our most efficient days, right? What I like to do before vacation, guess what I love to do? I love to make the house spotless, right? I do everything, get my bags packed, the house is spotless. So when I come back from my vacation, I just walk into like, sit on the couch, put the air conditioning on, and just relax and decompress. So give yourself a deadline, give yourself some pressure. All right, guys, let's talk about who else wants to chime in on this. What do you believe those certain milestones, those pitches, in order for you to reach your summit are? PK, I see you thinking. Did you want to chime in on this?
I am thinking because I definitely am stuck in like probably a pitch right now, and I'm trying to find the next kind of like stumping ground to jump onto the next pitch. But so far, really, it's back to your point, it's a lot of practice and preparation. Two things that come to mind for me is, as much as in this business we want to plan everything, a lot of things happen without us like ever planning for it. For example, like meeting a client that ends up being your biggest deal ever. We have to be prepared. We have to be 100% focused to be able to make an impression, get them to trust us, and then get them through the process from A to Z, which on its own is another kind of like pitch to summit type of a process. So being prepared, always being focused. That's why I bought so many books about focus, is because if I know my why, if I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and every day I'm striving to be best at it, then there's really nothing that can stop me from being able to get to the summit. It's just get the focus right and just practice and be prepared. And really that's it, I think. Yeah. And there's a lot of kind of details in between, but if we don't have the focus right, like his why was reason why he got through. I haven't watched a movie, but I do know that it's a very special one. So the why is, I think, really important.
Totally. And I think like this, you guys, if you just took a blank piece of paper and you just made yourself, you know, a mountain, you said, okay, well, in order for me to hit my summit, because I'm not just going to shoot right up to the summit, right? I got to pack the amount of water. I got to prep. I got to have all my gear. I got to have, you know, the chuck, whatever it is, right? In correlation to what we do. I need to make sure to have all my education. I need to make sure that I have my systems in place. I need to make sure to have this and that in order to reach my summit. You'll be able to really map it out and be like, man, these are the things that I need to do, because I'm never going to get here unless I'm creating all these little steps along the way. So good stuff. Who else wants to chime in? Aaliyah, you had something that you put into the chat. iPhone raised their hand. Go ahead and iPhone. Somebody just raised their hand. I don't see a name. So
Hey, good morning, Elias. It's Quan, man. Good morning.
What's
Good morning.
up, Quan? How you doing, big guy?
I'm doing fantastic. And earlier that was my wife, because our puppy is teething and is like he likes to bite, so we have to like be like ow ow ow, so he knows not to bite. So sorry about that. But you know, so and good morning to everyone else as well. So yeah, we watched the movie together last weekend. It's definitely a very inspirational, amazing movie. I sorry, that's the puppy chewing on stuff. I'm gonna go to the room. And basically, there are a couple of things that come to mind. One is, I think the biggest thing, because I don't want to waste everyone's time, is really for me is like, first of all, I think that the wall is a perfect analogy, because it's like you're taking these risks, right? Because every step you make is a risk, right? Because you can misstep, you can miss the hold or miss your step, and you can fall. But because you have the lifeline, you're not gonna die. So it's kind of like, and then you take that into the real world of real estate. It's like everything we're doing, there's a risk of not working out, of failing. But if you fail, you just get back up and you just do it again, right? You go back to base camp and you just do it again. So I think that was the big, just like reminding myself, like, it's okay to take risks. It's okay to do things that's uncomfortable, that I've never even done or never tried. And hey, guess what? If I fail, I'm just going to get up and just do it again. So I think that was one of the biggest one. And the second thing for me is like, I feel like, like, what is the summit? I don't know, because I feel like that summit changes, right? Because once you get to a certain level and you like plateau, you got to find the next summit. Because once you get to a summit and you're like, I made it, then that's when you really start to, that's when you get relaxed and we get comfortable. So
yeah, man, I'm glad you said that, because first off, let's talk about that pitch 15. So he had climbed all the way up to pitch 14. Pitch 15 was the hardest thing for him to do. In order to go to 16, obviously he had to accomplish that. There was no turning back. There was a point in the movie where he's like, well, do I just quit and just support Tommy? He's like, well, no, I got to do this. I have to, over and over and over and over, knowing that he's not going to go any further than 14. But because he was anchored in, but he's like, right, I'm going to persevere, right? And I'm going to have the resilience, and I'm going to do this. I appreciate you saying that. But then when they actually accomplished it, Tommy Caldwell was like, it was kind of bittersweet. I had dedicated my life to this, right? Mm-hmm. And now I'm finally did it. But it wasn't about actually accomplishing it. That was obviously important, but that journey, that's the journey, right? It's like setting a goal, and then it's like, oh, cool, I've made $200,000. Well, that's fucking uninspiring, right? Cool. Like, it didn't change you much, right? What changed you was that process. What changed you was going through those tough times. That's where you learned, right? And it was all those little things that you did for all those years. So, man, that's a really good point. I appreciate you saying that. Zaira, you had your hand up?
Yeah, just real quick. And the fact that he had given up on himself, but because someone else believed in him so much, it just kind of made him be like, okay, I can't let him down. So now he had to continue with what he wanted. And he actually did that little jump that Tommy wasn't able to do.
Yeah. So check it out, you guys. There was a pitch where in order to get across the pitch, there was an 8-foot gap. The only way to get that 8-foot gap is to literally jump. You're holding on with your fingertips and to be able to go to the next pitch. Well, it hadn't been done. They tried for years and years. So what Tommy did is he went down and he went around and went back up. Well, he's like, climbing downhill when you're a climber is so unnatural, right? He did that way. But the guy that got left behind that accomplished pitch 15 and was able to catch up, he's like, you know what, I'm going to do it. He literally jumped 8 feet, grabbed onto this hold and was able to do it. It's like absolutely mind blowing when you watch that. So Zyra, that was a really good point. What else, you guys, as we're talking about this, what are some other steps, pitches, milestones that you feel that you need to have in place right now in order to hit your summit? Go ahead, Sandy.
I was just going to say real quick, I didn't see the movie, but I really want to. I'm feeling super inspired hearing all this. But just something I've been thinking about in the last like week or so is it kind of makes sense with this topic, is like being unafraid to make my mistakes basically while I'm at the bottom, so my fall isn't as hard when I hit the ground. Kind of getting that stuff out of the way now while I'm closer to the ground, and like just getting in there and doing it. Just like, I know I'm gonna fuck up, like it's gonna happen. And it's just like, it's kind of the same thing with my skating. Like, I know if I'm trying something new, I'm gonna fall. And when I get the fall out of the way, I'm like, okay, cool, that's done. I'm over it. And then the fall only further like pushes me to get it and nail it. So that's kind of why I like just threw myself into doing my first open house yesterday, and just like trying to set up buyer's consultations with anyone who will listen to me. And I know that, you know, like I'm going to make some mistakes. Sorry, that's my puppy too. But I'm just kind of like throw myself in and get it out of the way. So sorry, she won't stop.
Okay. Well, at least she's not biting you like Quan was biting. So good stuff. And I think skateboarding is a great analogy, right? Because it's like, ow, that hurt. I'm never doing that again. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this and do this. And now I can crush these moves. I can crush this trick. So like direct correlation, good stuff. Who else wants to chime in on this? Even if you haven't seen the movie, I think it's pretty clear what we're talking about. Anybody else have their thoughts or insight on this topic?
I do.
Go ahead, Tania. What's up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am well.
Okay, I had 2, maybe 3. The first one was, going back to the movie. I had this moral issue with them killing this guy in order to live. And then I thought, okay, what am I willing to do to live? And then it was the fact that I know you mountain climbers like mountain climbers, and I'm like, what the hell? Who cares about mountain climbing? And it's a huge thing. There's magazines, and so to say that, I do stuff and I think, why am I doing this? Who's going to care? And it came down to doing it for me because I care. If I love it, other people will love it. So that was just huge to me, the fact that, they took something that, some folks would not have thought was that great and made it huge so that we could do this in our own business. Who cares what other people think? Yeah. If you're doing what you love. And then the other thing was you and Kenny, y'all are doing what you do in order for us to be able to do better. I know Kenny had said he was sitting on a listing appointment, then realized, what the hell am I doing this for? And I have a team. And that hit me that, okay, he could have just kept scaling the mountain and become a champion and the heck with his friend. But he realized, hey, it's not enough if I can't take him with me. I know I can do this. Let me help him realize he can do this too. So that was cool. All right.
It's a humbling moment and really good insight, Tania. And for me, guys, I have no desire to be a mountain climber. Not at all. Like, it's not something I grew up. I didn't grow up, but I spent 10 years of my life in Tahoe. I don't really want to be a mountain climber, but I found the correlation in the story and how I relate that to my own life, to my business, and how I look at you guys. Right? I'm always looking for opportunities to have something to talk about that we can correlate to what we do. And I thought it was so powerful. So let's hear from one other person when we think about your pitches, when we think about foundational things that you think that you need to put in place in order for you to reach the summit. What are those things and why? Let's hear from one other person. Anybody want to chime in? And don't be shy. Too easy on me. All right. I'm going to switch the conversation. Lachey, did you want to chime in? Sorry.
Yeah. Hi, good morning, everybody. So I just have just setting up a system, making sure you know your paperwork from front to back. Don't focus on the next agent because that will probably throw you off. Just focus on yourself, why you did this. Stay positive, keep learning, keep plugging in, and the sky is the limit. But if you're not doing all those things, then you'll fall short of a lot of things and then get discouraged very fast and give up. So just keep pushing, because I'm watching the movie now and looking at y'all and looking at the movie, and I'm just like, this is awesome. You know, I've been in real estate since 2004, and I don't know everything. It's some things that I've missed because I was a buyer agent for a long time. So getting on the listing side of it, I don't know any of that. So it just, I'm picking myself back up and starting all over again. So it's okay.
Well, hopefully all of your brothers and sisters here, myself and Kenny as well, are here to lend our hand as well and like grab you when you need a little boost. So we're here to pick you up whenever you need that. So I love this, you guys. Let's talk about the summit. So if you were to accomplish this and you had all of your pitches and all of your milestones and everything in place, what is your guys' summit? Right? And let's talk about this for a minute, because we talked about not having excuses. I don't care if your fingers cut off. I don't care if you you got hurt, if you don't have the resources, you became more resourceful. Like what is your summit? When you're looking down at your 3,000 foot accomplishment, whatever that accomplishment is in your career, what is that for you? And I'm going to talk to you about mine. My summit will never stop. My summit will be constantly something that I'm reaching for. My summit is contribution. So when I'm looking back at everything that we're going to accomplish, yeah, our company is going to hit $1 billion in production. Well, what happens when we hit $1 billion in production? Me and Kenny just high five, like, cool. All right, well, what's next, right? Well, if I feel my summit is constantly contribution, elevation of agents, then I'm always reaching and reaching. I don't ever come to a point where I'm plateauing, because I look around the room. We went from 12 agents to 190 agents now, and we're going to get to 1,000 agents in the next couple of years. So my summit is going to continue. I'm always going to reach these high levels because I'm always having something that's going to inspire me. So for me, my summit's going to be contribution. The numbers will work itself out. The score will take care of itself if the contribution for me is always high. So that's going to be my summit, is that contribution. Now that's for you guys. What is the contribution that I leave for my son? Well, the legacy that I'm creating, and Kenny and I were building this company, is that I'm going to be able to eventually leave him my organization if I want to be able to pass on wealth to him, make sure that he doesn't have struggle. So once again, when I think about my summit, it's rooted in contribution. So I want to turn it over to you guys. When you're thinking about your summit and when you're looking at the long game for yourself, what is that summit? Let's hear from you guys. Go ahead, PK. I want to hear from you. I hear you see you nodding your head. Something clicked here. Let's hear it.
It's actually pretty kind of, it's overwhelming for me, because this is where I am not clear. I don't know what that bigger, higher arching kind of like mission of mine is. My goals have been pretty much, I've been very small with my goals so far. I've always set little goals and I accomplish them and I get excited, and then I set like a bigger goal, but I don't really have that like big vision like you that, I can hang on to. And in days where I'm really struggling, it's not clear. Like, I don't know what that looks like. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm actually really thinking about the bigger vision. I was watching a video by Patrick Bet David, and he was saying that you cannot have only goals that are set for you. It has to be bigger than just you. So what is your goal for, like, what is your partner's goal and how can you help them accomplish that? What is your children's goals and like your parents? So you have to think bigger than just yourself, because so far I've been very much just like self-fulfilling goals have been my drivers. Something that gives me that boost of confidence. And I'm like, yes, I got that contract. Yes, but they're small. They're not, so that's what I'm working on. And I would love help from, everyone in this group to, share ideas on how you guys are kind of planning yours and like accomplishing or not accomplishing, but like getting to that big vision. And I have a one-on-one with you, Elias.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Part of that was like your 2020 vision or 2022 vision. So you guys, this wasn't always my vision, right? It changed. There was a time when I was in my early 20s that all I wanted to do is make $100,000 by the time I hit 30 years old. That was it. I was like, well, shit, I made that at 28. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Like what's next, right? Is that uninspiring? So, and it took me time, PK. So like not having that answer right now, that's okay. That's totally okay. Person, let's hear from you, my man. Person, you have yourself off of mute. What's that summit look like for you? All right, we'll come back to Herson. Let's go to Storai or Nicole Capel. Hence why we have our cameras on, fully engaged. Let's go over to, oh, there she is. Go ahead, Nicole.
I'm here. Something I think I could definitely work on is just being more well-rounded in my business. I feel like last week I had total tunnel vision with my escrow, and I really neglected, the prospecting and the education aspect. So come the end of the week, I was completely burnt out. So just making sure that I recognize all the different elements that make my business run, and not having such tunnel vision on the one thing. So,
so if you were to reach your summit and you were to look back at like, this is really, really, like a milestone for me and something that I've strived for. What would that be in your career?
Balance. That's a big one for me.
Nice. And how old are the kids?
How old are the kids?
Yeah.
3.5 and 1.5.
Yeah, and as they get older, that's going to get harder, right? Because sports and after school programs and all the things that, right? So developing something now, it's going to be super important as they grow, as you guys grow. So yeah, and sometimes that's fleeting. It's hard. I'm a parent, so I'm 100% with you. I understand. Rebecca, let's hear from you. All right, we'll go on from Rebecca. Melody, are you on? Okay, cool. Awesome. Who else wants to chime in on this, you guys? Because I feel it's very important. I see 3.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
So first to the point or the question you're asking in regards to like the summit. And so I don't know, it was you or someone that mentioned like, I think it was you about like, having personal versus like something bigger. So the personal side for me right now is like, I think that the same thing as what PK was saying, it's more defined, like, it's financial independence right now. But I think one thing that was like really emotional for me and inspiring is when I attended a Tony Robbins event and they asked that same question, and they gave a story about how like, when he showed his mom this dope house, like, in SoCal, right? Like right off the water. And her mom's like, hey, he asked his mom, like, hey, what do you think of this house? And she's like, oh, this is a nice house. And then he handed her the keys and was like, this is yours. And that was super emotional. I think that, and it really like made me think about that. And it's like, wow, that's way more like doper and way more powerful than like, whatever it is for me, like to be able to do that for my mom or for my dad. So that's one. And two is when we're talking, going back to the pitches, I feel like when we climb these pitches, when we get to the next level, it's one, it's like, you know, like you got to do the work, you got to do the grind and get there. The second thing is you have to ask that question, who do you have to become to really get there? Because it's like the skill set that you currently have might not be enough. And then you got to really like figure out what you need to do. Like, for example, for me, I used to tell myself, I hate making phone calls. I just hate doing that. But now I'm like, well, if I want to get to this next level, I have to become someone who loves making phone calls. What do I need to do that? So, and yeah, so that's what I'm sharing.
So I'm going to tell you this in direct correlation here. If you watch the movie, some of your biggest challenges are going to be a pitch 15. And what I mean by that is your pitch 15 is going to be making phone calls, right? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. They hung up. They didn't like me. Oh my God, I can't connect. I can't get into a flow. What the heck do I say? I hate this. Oh my God. What? You'd like to? Sure. I can show you 1, 2, 3, Meiji. I made it. I fucking made it. I know that I could pick or I could book an appointment now. Like I made it. Your pitch 15 for most of you is going to be phone calls. But if you don't keep trying, if you just try to stay in your emails and head down, then you're never going to get past that pitch 15. You guys should all, no matter who you are, what walk of life you come from, how long you've been in this game, should be able to book an appointment over the phone. The only thing that stands in our way is fear. Fear. You guys got to go on and on and on and on until your fingers are bloody and you can barely hold on. Then that's when someone's going to pick up the phone and say, sure. Actually, also, I have a house that I need to sell. It's 1.2. That's what I'm hoping to get. Can we do a listing appointment? So good stuff, Quan. Linnell, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, so so let me get like the jitters out. So my pitch, okay, my pitch 15 is speaking eloquently. So I've been to college and all that stuff, but I came from a assembly line where I work with so many different people. So I'm so used to like speaking like in a language where I don't sound like I'm belittling someone. And so I've done that for 6 years. And so now I'm just trying to get back, transition to speaking more professional. So that's my pitch 15. My boyfriend, he always like, oh, you sound like this. And I'm just like, shut up. But so that's that. And then my summit is just releasing my full potential, and then just knowing who I am, like trying to figure out who I am. I don't think that I'm ever going to want to stop once I get to the top. I don't think there's no cap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that I'm going to keep wanting to maybe reinvent myself, renew. I remember when I was younger, I was like, well, I want to be rich, but I don't want to be rich. I want to still be able to ride the BART, right? That's how I felt when I was younger. And so then as I got older, I'm like, I want to be rich. Like I want to be mansion, boat, yacht rich. So every year, as I get older, which my birthday is in a few days, as I get older, I realize like, yeah, I want more, so I want to reach my full potential. And I think that's what my summit is like getting up there like Super Saiyan, you know what I'm saying? So
man, I love this. And like self-development and self-improvement and enhancement and Kanai, and the constant and never-ending improvement. I love this. So let's hear from Aaliyah. Aaliyah, takeaways from today's session, and let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. And if you guys, I've called on quite a few people and it's been crickets. I'm going to encourage you guys, when you're on here, put your cameras on. Let's get fully engaged. Let's show up and let's be here. I want you guys here and fully engaged. So Ernesto, let's hear from you, brother. Takeaways from today's session.
Sorry, guys, I'm getting my car washed and I'm not camera ready today, but I wanted to turn my camera on anyway. I think
you're not camera ready. You look the same as you do every day.
I'm going to provide a different perspective. I know some of us feel like, and just kind of listening, and for myself as well, a lot of times we always think about the things that we want, the things that would be nice to have, but maybe a different perspective. For me, a couple of the most impactful books that I've read, one of them is called The 5 Regrets of the Dying, where a lady named Bronnie Ware, who was a hospice nurse for 12 years, should just ask people over and over again as they're near death, like, what do you regret not doing in your life? So I'm just gonna, I guess my contribution to today's call is, turning the lens. Yeah, there's a, so I'll use vision boards as an example. We always like put these images of the things that we don't want. I'm sorry, of the things that we want one day. We have the cars, the boats, the big houses, the vacations, the beaches, blah, blah, blah. And that's great. And maybe that will motivate you. If that works for you, awesome, do that. But another, the other side of the coin is that there is a price to pay for not doing the things, that you should be doing in order to, I think about like, what if my dad doesn't live to see me get married? What if I can't retire my dad, my parents, things like that. So it's not really to sound morbid, but there's a price to pay for not doing the things that we should be doing on a daily basis. And so if we maybe are struggling to think of like, oh, what's my next pitch, or well, I don't know what really motivates me to think bigger, then maybe what might help you is turning the coin over, and if that works for you, awesome, to do that.
Man, I love that. Absolutely love that. Now, Kenny, is that from you, or is that something you read from the book?
That's from the book.
Yeah, powerful. I mean, here's a couple examples. I want to help you sell more homes. No, I want to help you get debt free. I want to help you retire your parents. I want to help you check items off your bucket list. I want to help pay those off. Like, this is powerful stuff, you guys. And it's just a way of like shifting the way that you're looking at it. 5 Regrets of Dying, live life to my truest self. This is powerful stuff. Let me go on, let me read some more of these. Man, I wish I hadn't worked so much. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I had let myself be happier. Right, you guys? So your summit's going to look different. All of you guys, summits are not monetary. And I really hope that you guys realize that the money is going to come, right? It's going to come and it's going to go as well. But the experiences, the time, the family, the contribution, the level of gratitude, what we did, who we impacted, how we helped people, how we served people, that's going to be the biggest summit. And those things you guys can always chase, and you guys can always hit the next level of contribution. So I really appreciate you guys. If you haven't had a chance to watch the movie and then chime in next time. You guys can give me your thoughts and your takeaways from it. But let's make sure that this week we write down our goals, we write down our intentions and what we are going to accomplish this week, because you guys have done a great job on that. But I would have been remiss if I didn't have this conversation about the Dawn Wall today. So you guys
chime in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not only write down your goals, but now I see that the importance of writing down the steps, like that staircase, up to your goal. Don't just focus on the goal, but focus on those pitches, that are going to lead you to that huge goal.
Totally. It's lagging indicators, which is your goals, or leading indicators, which are the actions. Focus on your actions, you guys. That's what's going to get you where you want to be. So great session today, you guys. I appreciate you showing up here on Labor Day, doing the work, having some fun with us, diving into this topic. So have a wonderful, wonderful week. If you guys need anything, let me know. See you tomorrow at the meeting. But thank you guys once again. More grateful than you guys will ever know for your time, effort, and appreciation for this group. You guys have a wonderful day.